Hello and welcome to my June 2025 wrap up. If it looked familiar and the video was just previous to this, it's because I'm filming things all at the same time. So for June, I read 23 books. The first book I read was an audiobook. It is called Such Quiet Girls. I'll make sure I post things in here. By Noelle W. Eiley. I give it 3.5 stars. Out of all the books that I've read of hers, because I've been kind of like binging through them, I guess you could say, it's my second favorite. I think Ask for Andrea was my favorite one. The pacing was really well done. It did have dual narrators, which I enjoy. The characters were all well done. Andy and Teddy fulfilled their purpose. They're creepy. Sage, she was really brave. Jessa was strange until we learn her story, so it was good. Then I read Broken and Torn by C.N. Rudy. I give it 3.5 stars. That was for one of my in-person book clubs. It takes place in Alberta, so that's where I'm from, so that was cool. For a debut, I did enjoy it. It was good. I just, or the author did handle mental health as well in the book, or the aspects of mental health well. It was probably a 2 to 3 out of 5 for Spice, but I think she tried a little bit too hard. There was just too many tropes. It was literally small town tropes, second chance romance, one bed, enemies to lovers, or rivals to lovers. It had so many, and I just was wow, we're doing all the things. And then I read Flamer by Mark Curato. I gave that one 4 stars. That's one of the books that are threatened for being banned in Alberta in schools because Alberta sucks butthole. So of course I took it upon myself to read it. It was a great coming of age story. I also I don't know, because it's obviously our main character is queer, and it's them coming to that realization, and it's just I get really sad when people aren't accepted for who they are, and they're forced to hide who they are. So that happens, and I did enjoy the artwork, but check it out because we don't want banned books. We don't like that. Then I read Kiss Me Maybe by Gabriela Gamez. I gave it 3.5 stars. I really like the cover. You'll be able to see it here. I grabbed it as an audio from Forever, and it was on NetGalley. It was slow, but it did pick up. I like the narrators' voices. The characters read a bit younger, but I did enjoy the coming out and finding yourself kind of aspect in there. Then I accidentally hooked up with a vampire by Jessica Cage. I gave it 4 stars. So I read her other one. I accidentally summoned a demon boyfriend, and it's just she's hilarious. Her writing is absolutely hilarious, so I recommend it. I got it off Simon Maverick. She is so witty, and she just gives the characters so much sass, and it's perfect. It was similar to book 1. It's just this one is about a vampire, not a demon boyfriend. Tempest Messiah, I think that's how you say her name, or Mensa. As a narrator, perfection. Love her voice. Would read everything by her just because of her voice. Our character Whitney gained a lot of knowledge over the course of the book, just because she really knew nothing about, we'll say, monsters, I guess. And then her friends were actually super great, and they were kind of keeping her sheltered to protect her, and then when she didn't need protecting anymore, they came in clutch. Then I read Get Real, Chloe Torres. This was sent to me by Penguin. It's by Crystal Maldonado. I really liked the cover. I thought this was cute. Also a queer story. So it's 3 best friends. So they were 3 best friends, and then they had a big falling apart. And then this story is where they're coming back as friends to go see one of the concerts, or the bands that they loved when they were friends, and just kind of overcoming what happened and talking about it and seeing where they end up. So I did enjoy that one. And then I read Detained, A Boy's Journal of Survival and Resilience by D. Esperanza and Gerardo Ivan Morales. I think that's how you say them. I gave this one 4 stars. This is a true story about a boy and his brothers and then cousins trying to cross the border after his family moved to the US, and left him with his grandparents, and then the grandparents pass away, sadly. So he's trying to find his parents, and he can't figure out why it's so hard, because he was quite young, very, very young, to do that. And then he gets detained in I want to call it a detention facility, but it's like basically a concentration camp for people trying to illegally cross the border. But he's literally 12 and he had no clue like what illegally means, and the conditions of that were atrocious. And I literally can't believe that this is a true story. It was during the time of Trump's first administration, and I can only imagine how terribly worse it has gotten this time around. But I really think everyone should read it. It is a heartbreaking story. I shed some tears. Then I read Gothic Town by Emily Carpenter. I gave it 4 stars. It was an audiobook by RB Media and NetGalley. The premise is cool. It's like if you move to this town, they let you buy a house for $100 because they're looking for like new people in their town because people keep leaving and they're all like older and they want new people to come there, I guess. The pacing was really good. It was an interesting story. I did like the narrator, but I can't really give too much more information because there's mysteries surrounding the town and the like locals versus the newbies, so check that out. And then I read A Daughter's Place by Martha Batisse. I gave it 4 stars. That one was from House of Anansi and Tandem Global Collective. It was for a read-along. I really like the cover. It did capture the time period and the setting well. It did have some slight queer aspects into it, which I enjoyed. I did really like the multiple POVs. It was a smooth and easy read, and I really enjoyed Isabel. I like that she doesn't really take crap from anyone, and she doesn't really let them tell her how to live, even though for the time period you would be, you know, as a woman, you're just like what's the word? You're owned, but she didn't let that stop her. And then I read Lumine, Volume 1 and Volume 2, and I'll have to put Volume 3 somewhere so you can see it, but I read all 3 of them, so I have 2 hard copies, and then Volume 3 just released, so it was an ebook. But I really like them. They do have really nice artwork, and it's super cute, and like, look at this. There's like a little wolf boy, and he's a bodyguard, and it's super cute. I like the storyline, and yeah, I binged all 3 of them, and I would continue reading if there's going to be more, just because it is adorable. Then I read Love in Focus by Linda Lee. It is 3.5 stars for me. It was audio from Hachette, how do you say it? Hachette, and NetGalley. It's sapphic, as you can tell by the cover, so yes, please. It was a second chance romance. I enjoyed both Celeste and Gemma as characters. There were a couple of spicy scenes, and I really enjoyed the 2 narrators, so I recommend that one. And then I read Finding Opimem, sorry, I cannot say this word, by Andrea Curry. This one I was sent by Arsenal Pulp Press. It sounded super interesting. I gave it 4 stars, and I did enjoy it. I really like reading CanLit, Indigenous authors, Indigenous stories, and it's nonfiction. So this one is about the 60s scoop in Canada, and it really educated me on a lot of what was going on, because I didn't really know. And it was really terrible that all of these children had been taken and put in to foster cares, and a lot of those foster care homes were abusing the children anyways. So it's like, if you don't want to be a foster parent, why are you? And what was the point of taking them away from their families where they were loved to be abused? And our author is Métis, and I do work in healthcare, and it was eye-opening to see how she was treated as a Métis, or how she is treated in healthcare. I didn't realize there was prejudices like that, but there is, and that is terrible. Then I read A Botanical Garden by Noah Medlock. I gave that one 4 stars. We read it for our virtual book club, and I was kind of the black sheep. I was the only one who enjoyed it, but I did enjoy it. It was like a Frankenstein retelling, and I didn't like Frankenstein. It was boring. This one, there was plants and funguses that took over plants and made plants come to be alive, and there was sapphicness, and there were some gay characters, and I really enjoyed it. It was like a found family, and our main character, Jenny, like lost a girlfriend, but the girlfriend was actually brought back to life by the plants, but she didn't realize it was her, so they kind of found their love without knowing it, I guess. And then I read Girl in the Creek by Wendy N. Wagner. That one was 3 stars for me. It was an audiobook for Macmillan. I love the covers. I was continuing on my creepy fungus taking over bodies, apparently. I didn't really realize that that's what it was, because sometimes I don't actually read the synopsises. I just go into things blind, which is good and bad. But it had a lot of characters that we don't care about. So they were just there, and I did enjoy the narrator. And it was a little weird of a read. Then I was sent Best of All Worlds by Kenneth Opel, and I've read a couple of his books when I was a kid. I read like Silverwing and stuff, and then I actually didn't realize that he wrote another series that's like a Frankenstein retelling, and I've actually read both. It was a duology, and I read both of them, and I liked them. But I just noticed that when someone else had posted about it. But this one is like, I don't know if it's like middle grade or just like YA, but it is a dystopian sci-fi kind of, where these people get taken by we don't know what, we never find out, and then they get popped in this world under this dome. So it's kind of like Under the Dome, I guess. And then they try to escape, or some of them try to escape and some of them just try to live their lives. And I just didn't like that there was no closure at the ending, but it was fine. I still gave it 4 stars. And it's from Penguin Teen and Tandem. And then I read Where They Last Saw Her by Marie Rendon. I gave that one 4 stars. It was also for virtual book club. We haven't even had the book club yet. It's for August book club. And it is like an Indigenous author, and it's an Indigenous story, but it is fictional. But I'm sure it's based on a true story, I would imagine, or some sort. It did open my eyes a lot of how like kidnapping cases and murder cases for Indigenous people are kind of brushed under the rug, and nobody seems to care about it, and nobody wants to help. They just are like, oh, they probably ran away. So that was kind of weird, and it sucks. But I didn't really connect to the characters, was the only thing. I did like Quill. She is kind of a baddie. And yeah, so I would recommend it. I don't think everyone in book club liked it, but you make your own choices here. And then I read Thrill of the Chase by Catherine Nolan, which I won an ebook of from Entangled, and it is a sapphic treasure hunt book, and it was freaking awesome. I gave it 4 stars, but I super like enjoyed it, like a high 4 star. It was, yeah, like, I don't know, there was lots of sapphic characters, and there was some gay characters, like, you're filled with queer characters, and like the treasure hunt aspect was really awesome. And it was just like this adventure, and like from rivals to lovers, and I really liked it, and I liked all the characters, so I really recommend that one for you guys. Then I read Fierce Effed Up Fairy Tale of a Effed Up Princess by Jeffrey Mondy. I gave that one 3 stars. I found it in my library. I thought it looked cool. And it was like Arthur retelling, which I found interesting. The art was cool, but it lacked detail for me like the art did. And there was too many secondary characters for me, who, like, in the artwork, they all look the same. So it was hard to differentiate between those secondary characters, but it was a Noah Wright read. Then I read Blankets by Craig Thompson. I gave it 3 stars, which I didn't actually realize or remember that I've already read it previously, and I gave it 3 stars that time too. So it's still not my favorite book. I didn't realize it was a memoir, but it is a memoir, and it was just, I found a lot of things were skimmed over, which I realized that this is somebody's life and they don't have to share all of their story, but I want more. I need all the details. But I did enjoy the art style. And then I read Heidi, a graphic novel. I was sent this by Andrews McMill when they were still sending stuff to Canada, so I do appreciate that. And this one is beautiful. I really enjoyed it. I loved Heidi, the movie, like as a child, and this stayed true to the story. It was very like sad, but then it has a happy ending, and I forgot how like sad the actual story is. And maybe I didn't realize when I was a kid. I was just like, cool. But yeah, I enjoyed that one. And then the last one that I read for this month, what month are we even in? June. I read Red Rabbit Ghost by Jen Julian. So I was sent this one by Run For It, which was a new like imprint, a new horror imprint. And I thought this one sounded super cool. I only gave it 3 stars though. I love horror. It said there was, like, the synopsis kind of made it seem, I actually read it, this one, that there was going to be maybe a haunted house aspect in it, but it was just very confusing. And I didn't really find it that much horror. It was more like a thriller mystery, so I'm gonna pass it on to a friend. They'll tell me what their thoughts are too. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you in another video.